Okay, I thought I'd check in with my spirit guides tonight, and a topic that I'm kind of interested in talking about is lives and that we've had, maybe past lives, parallel lives, and maybe even karma. I know we've touched on some of these subjects a little bit before, but I thought I would maybe start with past and parallel lives. So are all of us having, have all of us had past lives? No. Okay. So there's some souls in the incarnation, or the oversouls have not chosen to come into the experience yet. So there are oversouls that have just not chosen to have that experience. Yes. Okay. But there are oversouls who've chosen to come back multiple times to the earthly experience. Yes. Okay. And what would be some of the main reasons for coming back after they've been through the experience more than once, or maybe one time? T-H-E-Y, they, M-A-Y, may, H-A-V-E, have, L-E-S-S-O-N-S, lessons, T-O-2, L-E-A-R, and to learn. They may have lessons to learn. And we've talked about this before, but isn't the earthly experience really one of learning? It's a school for souls. I think you've coined it that before. Okay, so maybe for instance, how many lives have I had? I'm just curious. How many lives have I had? T-H-O-U-S-A-N-D-S, thousands of lives. Okay, and have all those lives been as a human being? No. Okay, so what types of lives have I had if they haven't all been human? Maybe just a couple of examples. Y-O-U-H-A-V-E, have, B-E-E-N, been, I-N-C-A-R-N-A-T, incarnate, A as, A-N-I-M-A-L, as animals, M-A-N, many, T-I-M-E-S. I've been incarnate as animals many times. Okay, and that's interesting because I've always had such a strong love and affinity for animals and empathy for them. And I'm wondering if maybe because that's part of who I am on a soul level, on an oversoul level, am I just feeling maybe some of the emotional bonding? That is huge, yes, and attachment to creatures that I've actually been incarnated as. Okay, that is a huge, yes. That is really interesting. Okay. And I think in Dolores Cannon's work and some other maybe channeled works, they've talked about being incarnate as like grass and rocks and trees. So is that something that I have also been incarnate as? Okay, so it's not just the creatures that we would consider to be like, excuse me, living creatures like, you know, birds and animals. It's also the living the other things and things that don't even appear to be living, such as rocks and mountains and all of the, I guess you want to say, energy that's around us. Okay, how fascinating. Okay, and we do carry these maybe memories, soul memories, and so maybe some of our responses to things are from these soul memories. Okay, how interesting. Okay. And on that note, I wondered also if, I know people often talk about past lives and past life regressions, but I've also heard that, you know, we've talked about there is no time, that time is an illusion and everything is happening simultaneously. So does that mean, and this is kind of hard for me to wrap my head around, but so are my lives that I've had, because I'm having other human lives, you told me that before, at this time, all happening at the same time. So I could be running to myself in another human form, or I could be in another part of the world as a human, but have no recollection or knowledge of that from this perspective. And that's because of the veil of forgetfulness when we come into the experience. Yes. Okay. Okay. How amazing. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to add about past lives or parallel lives, or even maybe some of the, I don't want to say trauma, but experience that we carry with us from lifetime to lifetime? Yes. Okay. Wonderful. Y, O, U, D, O, do, C, A, R, Y, carry, T, R, A, U, M, A, trauma, F, R, O, M, from, P, A, R, A, L, E, L, 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 I, V, E, S. You do carry trauma from parallel lives. Yes, and I've heard so many people talk about that, and when they go under regression or maybe hypnotized, hypnotherapists, they can sometimes release the trauma from those other lifetimes, which gives them some relief and a better experience in this lifetime. So that makes so much sense. Okay, and as an example, I have a lot of trauma around driving, and we've talked about that before, that I've actually, did I pass away in motor vehicle accidents in past lives? That is a huge yes. Okay, so we've talked about, and I couldn't figure out where this came from, because there's really nothing about driving that should be scary or frightening or traumatic to me. I've never been in an accident in this lifetime, but it was almost just like something I was carrying around with me, and that makes so much sense that I had experienced trauma in another lifetime. So, okay, thank you so much. That's fascinating. So, because we're carrying around this trauma and we're going through this ascension process collectively, humanity is there something different that we should do to release that parallel life trauma than we would do to release any trauma at all? No. Okay. So in other words, just letting go of all of it, maybe through meditation, introspection, connection with nature, and all the things we've talked about, moving yourself into a higher vibration and letting those traumas go, will all work. Okay, so you don't need to know specifically what your traumas are from past lives. Just ask the universe to help you release what you no longer need. And I do that. We talk about that. You advise me to do that all the time. And it has made a big difference in, well, I'll let you tell me how has it changed me, letting go of some of the traumas. Y, O, U, H, A, V, E, have, I, N, C, R, E, A, S, E, D, increased, Y, O, U, R, your, V, I, B, R, A, T, I, O, in vibration, I, M, E, N, S, E, L, Y. Immensely. You've increased your vibration immensely. Yes, we talk about it a lot, and living in the moment is such a huge way to shift your perception of this experience, and holding on to what no longer serves you it just makes you feel so much lighter, and living in the moment and finding joy and peace and divinity in the moment is really what I think we would be completely different collectively. Humanity would, if we would all just focus on that. So that's what I think. So if you agree, yes. Okay. Thank you so much. Is there anything else you'd like to add? Yes. Okay. Wonderful. W, E, we, L, O, V, E, love, Y, O, U, we love you, A, N, D, and, W, E, we, A, R, E, R, P, R, O, U, D, proud, O, F, of, Y, O, you. We love you and we are proud of you. That's awesome. Well, I am so grateful for everything, and I wish that I would have connected to you so much sooner. It's been just profoundly life-altering, definitely. So I encourage anybody who's interested in connecting to the divine to quiet your mind, meditate, ask, to receive, listen, and it's an amazing, amazing experience. So thank you so much, Spirit Guides. Thank you, and good night.